14 minutes before the hour. My next guest now finally getting a chance to see firsthand how the immigration crisis on the border is impacting his home state. Jim Bridenstine out of Oklahoma touring Fort Sill over the weekend. You remember saying earlier this month he was turned away from the fort, which is now housing 1,200 illegals, many of them children, most of them children. Republican Congressman Jim Bridenstine is now with me back in Washington. Sir, how are you? And good morning to you. We've been in touch now for about 2 weeks. What did you see?
So, my concerns were validated. There are a lot of children there that have suffered on the trek to the United States of America. We're talking about cases where people were abused. One of the things that I thought was of interest is the fact that a lot of these children have either family members or friends in the United States that are here illegally, and those are the folks that are paying coyotes and transnational criminal organizations in Mexico and other places to transport those children here. That is where the suffering is occurring. When you pay criminal organizations to transport children, you're putting your children in harm's way. And of course, in many cases, it's not just the children of illegal aliens in our country, but it's also just friends and relatives of illegal aliens already in our country.
Right. Let's try and get to a few specifics about your visit, though. You did not bring a camera, right? Were you allowed to bring a camera?
I did not bring a camera. We did not push that issue. Here's what they told us. They said, you can come on a visit, you can't ask questions, you can't talk to the staff, you can't talk to the contractors, you can't talk to the children. We told them very clearly we will treat their restrictions the way the president treats the laws of this country. We will treat them as suggestions. And that's what we did. And when we went in, they were very accommodating, as a matter of fact. We did talk to the personnel that worked there. We talked to the medical staff, and in fact, we talked to some of the children and heard some of their stories.
And the stories are what, sir?
The stories are horrific. There are a good number of those children who were abused on the way to the United States by these transnational criminal organizations that have to be paid in order to get them across. Look, we don't control the southern border of the United States the way the law requires right now, but the transnational criminal organizations in northern Mexico, they control the southern border on the south side of the border. If you pay them enough money, you get into our country. And if you don't pay them enough money, your children can be subject to forced labor, to forced prostitution, sold in the slave trade, and in many cases there are death. There are mass graves in northern Mexico because somebody didn't pay the right criminal organization. The other thing that was concerning to me was how the children, once they're at these facilities, by the way, the children who make it there are the lucky ones. There are a lot who don't make it there. And then once they're there, how are they released? Who are they released to? What I found out was that a lot of them are being released to folks in the United States of America who are not legal citizens of our country. As such, it's very difficult to do a criminal background check, if not impossible. When they are released, they get a date to come back for court. A lot of them don't come back for court, and they just go off into our country and they remain illegal residents in perpetuity.
You say getting answers on this issue is like pulling teeth. Has that changed now, or are we just going to continue to see this flow?
We actually had a great opportunity to meet with the staff down there at Fort Sill, and so we made an issue of it. We're now getting answers. I know your previous segment was about the secrecy of this administration. It's one thing to keep secrets. It's another thing to put out false information, and we've seen the willingness of this administration to do that. If you look at Benghazi and them blaming the Benghazi attack on an obscure video that nobody had seen, that's the big concern here. We need to keep asking questions. It is our First Amendment right. It is my obligation as a member of Congress. He's asking us to spend $3.7 billion. We have got to solve this problem. We don't want to just expand the current programs that are leading to the crisis. We want to solve the crisis. We need operational...
Yeah, operational controls only at 44%, and people in Central America still believe once they get here they can stay here. In a word, finally, will you go back to Fort Sill? Yes or no?
Yes, absolutely, I will go back. This is too important of an issue. Children are being made to suffer. It's federal policy that is causing this, of this administration. We've got to get it right.
Jim Bridenstine, thank you for coming back, sir, and thank you for keeping in contact with us in our program here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Martha.